Baphomet, my old friend. Hi, I'm Kelly and Cows. Welcome to this channel, Stone the Crone. Today I'm going to go, I touched on a live yesterday about Baphomet. Today I'm going to go a little bit more into that symbology and how I come to recognise that there is an undertone through the trans agenda pushing this particular demon, if you will, if you want to call it that. I know Christians will call Baphomet a demon or a devil or a picture of a devil. So let's get started. So when I first come across this whole Baphomet thing and the trans agenda and the usurping of this symbology was when I was, like I mentioned yesterday, when I was really, really heavily into my research of occult knowledge. And I mean, I'm always researching it. It's just a constant thing that I like to find out why people believe a certain thing a certain way and why symbols are used subliminally throughout advertising, things like that. Way products can be placed and laid down and photoed can have a very esoteric vibe and symbolic vibe without the person who's seeing it understanding what they're seeing. And we do know this in like the Subway commercials and things like that, where you've got the woman's face and the Subway coming at her, you know, like very phallic worshipping advertising techniques. So especially as women, the over-sexualization of our reality is pretty, it's out there. We see it, you know. You don't, it's not, most women, we work it out. The Satanic Church, run by Anton LaVey, which started in 1966, used the Baphomet head in the upside down pentagram, which a lot of people would recognize as a satanic symbol. The upside down, that's being the five-starred the 5-pointed star is a pentagram, and then you've got the pentacle, which is the circle around the pentagram. So it's earth, fire, wind and water and spirit, or earth, fire, wind and water and metal if you look into the Asian symbology of that particular vibrational symbol. Then turned upside down. So I'm going to explain this briefly because it is important to where I'll go with the Baphomet. So when you've got the pentagram on its own, it is the self. It's not all encompassing in the universe. You're not one with the universe. Yeah? So the pentagram is normally self. The pentacle is in case within the whole. Then you have the top point, which is spirit, is normally head. So you want spirit, your pineal gland, you want that pointing to the top. You know, so that basically the other elements which make up our material realm sit at the bottom. They're not the driving factor in the human psyche, yeah? And human morality, let's say. So when it's flipped upside down and inverted, which is normally the satanic star, people see it as that, it means that you put these 4 things, the earth, fire, wind and water, which is the material realm. You're putting this physical state of before the psyche, you know. So let's act in carnal ways like the animal before thinking about the outcome of it. And Anton LaVey goes right into that in his Satanic Bible about how humans are only animals, that we are the apex animal on this planet, and that we should be doing whatever we want in this realm as long as it's with somebody who consents. That's their sort of theory behind it all. I've come across a couple of little interesting bits, so I will be adding that into this presentation, if you want to call that. So we're going to have a little look at Mr. Elisphas Levi. Levi Dale. I can never pronounce the first name, so and I always go into default J.K. Rowling's mode and go Epsiva, which I know it's fucking not. I know, but anyway, you'll see it. Okay, so first of all, you're going to see that he is sitting on a sphere. He's sitting on a globe. It's positioning on a rounded globe. Then on top of the rounded globe, you're going to see a square box. And this is very, very, very Masonic symbolism. This is squaring of the circle, but it's also the combination of a grounding of femininity and then a dominance of masculinity over the top, just to start with. You're coming up into him sitting cross-legged, and we've got the hooves of Pan. So this is straight up to remind us that we are nothing but animals, and that we should engage in this animal carnal whatever is you know, as much as we want, as long as we have. So it's that Aleister Crowley's quote is "do as thou wilt," and they've taken this quote and run with it, but it's a perversion of that particular quote. I'll do another video on that, but the whole quote is, "Do as thou wilt be the whole of the law, love is the law, love under will." And when you read that quote, whether you like Aleister Crowley or not, you must take into account the punctuation and the capitals, because if you do not read the quote properly, it means a different thing. The quote has been so corrupted, it has got nothing to do with what it originally was. So going with the perversion of that quote, and you've probably heard that "do as thou will," it's been run with. This has been totally run with nowadays. Do as thou wilt. Do whatever the fuck you want is the attitude of the day. And I did mention this, that's a little bit of the atheist sort of YOLO, you only live once sort of deal, you know, like, I'm not going to be here to give a fuck about my next incarnation. I have no responsibility to anything after I pass. There's actually no proof of that. There's no proof either way, but I know one thing myself. I know one thing, is I don't remember being born. I don't have the knowledge of actually being birthed, but I know it to be a fact. I know that I was brought into this realm, this world. So being that I don't remember everything, I can't ever rule out any forgot memories from before I've come into this particular meat suit. So from there, we've got the baggy pants. That's this Baphomet. He is... So originally Baphomet was believed to be the god, or the entity that the... so we go back to the Crusades, and we're going back to the Knights Templar, and it was said that the Knights Templar were worshipping Baphomet. Now, the research that's been done, there could have been a confusion between, was it Baphomet that they were sort of worshipping, or was it picked up through the Middle East And was it a version of Muhammad? It translated over to the Europeans. It came out with Baphomet. So at that stage, we're looking, it was about 1307 when this first come into sort of notion and consciousness. So what had happened with the Knights Templar is that they were deemed occultists and witches, and they were basically hunted down and burnt at the stake. And there's theories that a couple of them got away, that they formed the Freemasons down the line. And first it went from sort of Knights Templar to the Rosicrucians to the Freemasons, and the symbology between them is very, very similar. You can see the correlation. So the baggy pants is very significant to that Middle Eastern time frame of the 13th century. In his lap, you will see what a lot of people will say is his erect penis, which is, or the phallus, which is his wand. You will see the wand. And then wrapped around that wand is the two snakes of the caduceus. So this is the caduceus. This symbol here is on just about every ambulance out there. The magic wand of Hermes, of Mercury. Which is, it's a symbol of healing. You know, it's a symbol of reconstruction, as it will. Then you've got the snake belly, and then there's like a rainbow arc separating his masculine bottom half with the top half. So there is a literal divide there between the animal of the man and the snake of the phallus, and that reptile sort of mindset, the animal mindset of acting now, thinking later. It's that masculine is a little bit more unconscious about its manifestation. It's unconscious about what its vibe puts out. Then we're moving up into the abdominal, and you'll see the breasts of the female. The milk, the nurturing, the mother's milk, the elixir of life, what keeps us all as newborn babies to thrive. You've got the wings of the fallen angels. So that is very much a salute to Lucifer. But the wings too, and the horns, both the wings and the horns, are also represented of the 4 pillars. So you've got your horns and your wings. It's keeping you in between Jachin and Boaz, which is the 2 pillars of the tarot, and keeping you centered within the form. Now the interesting thing is, when you reflect as above so below, the 4 points of the wings and the cube, you have a hypercube. You have a cube on top of a cube. This is locking in a concept. This is a jail of sorts. So if you can imagine, you've got a concrete base, and now 1, 2, 3, 4 walls of a cage to lock you in. So this is all about locking vibration in to the physical realm. That's what this is. It's about not giving a crap about morality and not giving an absolute fuck about anybody else but yourself. That's what this is. So we've come to his hands, which is the one up, one down. It's also the hands in the George Washington statue. They've literally made. I'm not American, so sorry if I've got your presidents wrong, but I think it's George Washington, and he's sitting on his little throny chair doing the as above, so below. The George Washington statue is almost a symbolic replica of the Baphomet. So on his arms, you've got the one facing down is Caligula, the one pointing up is Solver. This is actually supposed to be an understanding of the inside soul that we really should be dissolving ego and rebuilding self. You know, you can't dissolve ego altogether, and I would never recommend anyone going down that path or looking at any type of thing that would do that. Ego does have its place. As I would even say, gender does have its place, but it's not to run amok and take over the vessel. It's not. So, we've got Caligula, Solver. Solver is pointing to the astral plane, or the ether, and Caligula is pointing to the earth, which is the place where we manifest. You got the two pointing up, two pointing down. You can go look at a hell of a lot of Christian pictures of Jesus, and you'll see Jesus doing the two-finger thing all over the place. So, symbology is definitely shared between all things. It's kind of really the universal language. The goat of Mendes, which is another way they used to say that it was the Freemason symbol, that they worship the goat of Mendes. And then you come up, and he's got the pentagram on his head. Not a pentacle, a pentagram. Then from there, you're coming up, and you're seeing you're coming up, you're seeing the enlightenment of the pineal gland. So this is sort of saying a lot of things in a lot of ways, Mr. Baphomet here. But he is lining up, like, if you go and look at what is called a Kundalini experience, you'll see that this is explained in this picture, this piece of symbology. So the snake's coming up, which is aligning what would be in India the chakras, and then the opening of the pineal gland, which is a pine cone symbol. If you see pine cone symbols, and the biggest pine cone symbol in the world, or the biggest pine cone statue in the world, is in the Vatican. That pine cone symbol is actually flanked by two peacocks, which of course have eyes at the tail. So it is literally showing you the pine cone pineal gland between the eyes. It's the brain, and dissect the brain straight down is it the neocortex, down the middle, and open it up, you will see the pineal gland in there. The pineal gland looks like the Egyptian eye of Ra, or Horus, depending if you're looking at the left or right hemisphere of the brain. So because Ra and Horus are the different eyes. The eye of Horus is the one you want to be using. The eye of Ra, probably not so much. So that's just a quick little... Oh, of course, then you've got the moons. You've got the light moon and the dark moon, again showing the duality of stuff. In a lot, like, they've actually got in this the dark moon and the light moon. The moon is normally a goddess symbol. normally a goddess symbol. So in here, you can kind of see that in the top you've got an illuminated moon, but in the bottom you've got a dark moon or a dead moon. Mr. Levi-Dell has literally taken away the sun of the masculine symbology, which is warming and has its own light source and strength itself, and replaced it with a dead feminine symbol instead. You've got the feminine symbol of the moon at the top, wrapped in dark clouds and almost obfuscated, like dulling down Diana, the moon goddess herself. So this is taking it, manipulating it, and regurgitating it, re-offering it as a... yeah. Anyway, so the other thing I wanted to mention in regards to Baphomet and why I came to this whole thing that there is definitely a thing going on with the trans community and the Baphomet is when my daughter was in year 12, there was a young girl she knew. We were going to call her Kai because they're all fucking Kais, aren't they? Kai, the guy. So we were in the backyard and it could have been 2018, 2019. I'm not just quite sure which one it was. But we were talking and I was very, very interested in these kids because at the end of, like I said, my daughter had a very hard time with the LGBT LMNOP community at her high school, and it really, really affected the last 6 months of her schooling, and it affected her grades. You know, she literally had to hide out in a area of the school that had cameras in it for nearly 6 months. I just don't even, like, it's fucked. It is a cult, and they will bully people until they literally do something horrible to themselves. My daughter is very, very lucky in the fact that I had the experience with the young mate that I made costumes for, and that I seen certain gestures that these kids were doing and go, hey, fuck man, these kids are fucking definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, definitely. So I think, in a way, that was my daughter's saving grace. To find that place in the school that had the cameras where she could just be left alone. Had she have had another 2 year of schooling, I would have just taken her straight out of school and I would have homeschooled her. No if, no buts, no maybe. I would have homeschooled her. So, what was happening in this interaction was my daughter had a little bit of a get-together, a party here, and had a few friends, and Kai was over here, and Kai being a female to male. There was only my daughter went to not a very big school. My daughter went through a group that was only 80 children in her high school, in her year. So it was not a big school. And this is 2019, and out of 80 children, 2 said that they were transgender that year, 2019. 1 male to female, which I've known since they were in preschool, and I can tell you, ain't no little girl, never has been, never will be, and Kai, the female to male, who now has had a double mastectomy, which is, it's sad, you know, it's heartbreaking that this little lesbian girl, and that's what she was, that's who she is, has done this to herself with full support of her mother. But when I was talking to Kai, and she was looking at my art and my house and my books. And she said, "Oh, is he your God too?" And I'm like, "My God too?" And she goes, "Yeah, Baphomet." And she did as above, so below. I went, "Is he your God?" And she said, "Yeah, yeah. He's most trans gods." Hmm? I said, "What do you mean? Like, the pan side?" And she said, "No, no, no, that's who we worship. That's who we worship. That's who we worship." Now, this girl wasn't even 18. Like, she was, what, 16, 17 years old at the time? And she's telling to me how her God that she worships is Baphomet. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Literally, what's going on here? Why would a young woman look at my occult stuff and go, "Oh man, hey, you, yeah, you follow our God too"? So after my little interaction with Kai and the Chaos Magic Guild, I started thinking there was more to meets the eye with this particular head of the Hydra. And I started having a bit of a look into Reddit's, Googling pictures and finding a heap of like super cute shit, like little plushies, all this fucking stickers. They really engage this, and especially the ones that see themselves as gothy trans. You know, they really seem to have latched onto this concept that Baphomet, Satan, is their god, and it's a strange one, isn't it? Because when you go have a look at the Bible, it does seem like it is especially Old Testament God, that it's God who's doing all the fucking pretty shitty shit, really, like drowning people, setting the world on fire, plagues, and all the rest of it. So it does seem that he's very a vengeful God, and that Lucifer was the one who stepped in on behalf of humanity. There is a theory that this is, if you want to go, like, this is conspiracy stuff, so please, warning, warning, tinfoil hat going on now, it's very fashionable, but there is a theory that this is Lucifer's realm. There is a theory that this is Lucifer's realm, and at the moment, Lucifer is winning the spiritual war, and men are going further into Sodom and Gomorrah again. And I'm not even going to lie, symbolically, it kind of looking that way, and I'm a bit disappointed because we're not just average animals like Anton LaVey would like us to believe that we are. We are the caretakers of the animals. We are the ones that can choose. We got a choice. That's where our will has. The average beast does not have the free will and the understanding of the conscience and the understanding of the consequences of our actions from that will. Unfortunately, humans want to be they want, I don't know, look, it's a hard thing. We want to own our head at the apex of being the most conscious, most smartest animal in the farm, but on the other hand, we don't want to take responsibility for our moral actions. And it just can't be both ways. If one says that they are or have goddess energy, one must then behave in a way that will manifest a reality. If you're a creator, if I'm a goddess, then I need to remember that I'm going to create a reality that reflects the goddess that I am through manifestation. Like I said, so we think, so we feel, so we act. Scarecrow, Tin Man, Cowardly Lion, all linking with Dorothy, linking, dancing in sync. So, question is, what does the Satanic Church think about this? Are they for this movement, this trans movement? Or are they not? Let's just go to them. So, let's go to the source. Let's go to thechurchofsatan.com and let's see exactly what they say. They say, yes. Does the Church of Satan accept transgender people? Yes. We have done since the organisation... Yes. We have done since the organisation was founded in 1966. The Church of Satan's philosophy promotes individuals empowering themselves so as to seek personal satisfaction. Remember, I read that bit about pleasure. Pleasure is a sample of euphoria. They're the same thing. Pleasure and euphoria are the same fucking thing. So you've literally got here them saying seeking personal satisfaction. The pentagram, not the pentacle, on Baphomet's head. So they've got the Magnus Anton LaVey embraces all people from the entire LGBTQ spectrum wholeheartedly and well in advance of most religions. Well in advance of most religions. And religious organisations. The Magnus Gilmore proudly maintains that position. We consider it a huge part of Satanism to support our fellows. Search for fulfillment as long as it involves other consenting, mature, self-aware adults, even when our own pursuits are different. Which seems really fucking noble of them, doesn't it? Yeah? Pretty noble. Until you go to Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible and there's a whole chapter in there about virtue signalling, which is basically the chapter on the good guy badge, but that's a different video. We're going to go down that path. We're going to go there. We're going to go there. Okay, we're going to read a bit of Anton LaVey, or we're going to check out a bit of his work. Can I not do it right at the moment? Because I have a friend of mine who's borrowed my book. So, which I'm not overly comfortable with, and I don't often do. So I don't know why I did. Coffee. Okay. LaVey wrote in his essay Diabolica, which is featured in the front of the Satanic Bible, by the way. Man prides himself on being the only animal who can modify his nature. Yet, when he chooses to do, he is called a phony. We in the Church of Satan support yada yada yada. This is a big part of it. It's a perversion, and I don't like to say, I used to say natural law, but when I say natural law, people always have a go at me that I'm a homophobe. Because, they're against nature. No. So I now refer to it as universal law. Yeah? Universal law, not natural law. Okay? So there is a set of laws that runs through the universe that makes no difference to whether humans are in the void or not in the void, interacting with the universe. Gravity on Earth is an example of that, and I've said this before. Man may have invented the plane, but he did not get rid of gravity. Man might have invented surgeries and hormones, but they have not got rid of biological reality. Simple as that. So this is part of the whole thing with the satanic doctrine, is they want everybody so devoid of the nature of the universe. They don't want people interacting with going outside, earthing themselves in the grass, getting themselves time to reflect in the now. They want everybody in front of black screens, scrying screens, you know. They want us to be hammering this technology into our heads so full on. And this does lead to the theory that I tend to have to agree with, that this is leading us straight down the road to transhumanism. That's where it's leading us. I literally could talk for hours on this and run a whole heap of things into each other. But I won't. I'm going to cut it off here. So I'm going to love yous for now. I'm going to talk to yous later. Remember, stay loud, my friends. And for now, stone out.